Everybody, we are back. It is Safe Live's favorite podcast, favorite channel, favorite everything. We are back. You guys already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. Hit the like button if you like. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit the dislike button if you don't like it. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if you don't like it. Also follow us on Twitter at the Mark John NFL for me, at Glenn Rockney for Glenn, and then of course Matt will show up here pretty soon. Here that is at mholder95 for Matt. All right, guys. So we got 3 picks so far. I think the surprise one for most people is Demar Glaze from Maryland. The last pick, the tackle. He did play right tackle as a junior, so I think that's kind of the vision with that, is that he can come in and play right tackle a little bit. But the first 2 picks were very, in my opinion, very good. Yeah. Especially after watching Brock Bowers today, and then JPJ, he's a stud. So, I think the draft has gone pretty damn good so far. I know they've hit all the needs that you got people really have thought about. I mean, they got guard. Tight end really wasn't a need, but they needed a playmaker. They needed a playmaker on offense, right? So they got another playmaker on offense, and then they got a guard, right? That was interesting. They're moving Johnson to guard, and then they got a tackle, a right guy who played right tackle before. He played left tackle last year, but he played right tackle in his junior season. So, they have been hitting needs technically, but not exactly how everybody thought they were.
Yeah, and I think lots of teams go into the season, even good teams go into the season with holes on their roster. It happens. Who's the 49ers right tackle right now? It's not a good player. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think it's Colton McKivitz is one of them. I don't know if the Chiefs have replaced L'Jarius Sneed adequately. There's a lot of these teams that you're going to have holes on the roster. I don't like reaching for need. Not necessarily going to say that was the process behind Demar Glaze in the 3rd round, but I hadn't even heard of the guy. That's not indicative of him, but it just does feel like he was meant to go a little bit later. Yeah, but come on. I was fired up over Bowers yesterday, and I saw a lot of fans that we didn't need that. I said, well, that's news to me that the Raiders don't need someone who can score from any part of the field, create yak, can block better than I thought. I didn't think he was much of a blocker. I actually think he can get out. He can actually do some damage, especially if he actually gets lined up in the slot. He's going to be able to dominate as a blocker from the slot. I think more so than in line. I think that's where the criticism comes from. So that's a need for me. The Raiders had no yak guy on the team, and he's just absolutely, in my opinion, might even be the best person in the draft at yards after the catch. It's unbelievable. And then Jackson Powers-Johnson. Is there a more perfect Raider? That's a guy that had they taken him at 13, I'd have been like, well, that's kind of early, but I see the vision. They get him at 44. It's amazing value. And the whole time I'm thinking, man, what are they going to do here? Who should they take? Should they, go take one of the run on corners is going. And I wanted to get in on that run of corners. I was a little bummed they missed out on Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid was there, but it's like, dude, JPJ is a better player than Kool-Aid, I think, personally. So it's when you compare the two, both those guys have all pro potential, Brock Bowers and JPJ. I can't say the same if they went with Terrion Arnold 13 and I don't know, you name another player, the Kingsley Suamataia at 44. I don't know that those guys have as accessible of an all-pro in their upside. I don't think I think Bowers and JPJ should be all pro players, and it's up to the Raiders to get them there.
Yeah. I see a lot of people talking about Glaze a little bit. This guy says y'all would hate these picks of McDaniels and Ziegler.
I wouldn't. No, that's not true. I like Dave Ziegler. I didn't hate Dave Ziegler at all, to be honest. I didn't think he was bad. I don't think his picks
weren't that bad, anyways. But a lot of people ask about Demar Glaze. So Demar Glaze was the Senior Bowl. He played left tackle at Maryland. I did watch his film back in January. Kind of. I don't know. To be honest, I didn't think he'd be drafted this high. I'm not gonna be lying to you guys. No. So I did not think that they would Demar Glaze to be taken this high. But he does fill the need at right tackle. I feel like this is more of a need pick. But also when we talk about Telesco too, we always talk about 1st and 2nd round, and then after that it kind of dies down a little bit. And I think maybe that's what we're starting to see a little bit. Right. But we're keeping it real. I think we're starting to see that a little bit, because I think the Bowers pick it caught people off guard. But I'm going to show some highlights, and we're going to enjoy that together. And then Also, Jackson Powers Johnson, he is just a stud at inside, right? And I think he's going to be a stud right away. He's going to be a solid player right away. So I really think those two picks are really good in my opinion, especially because with Bowers, and I know people want to talk about how it wasn't a need, doesn't feel what they need, but I feel like that he's just such a piece that if you're a creative offensive play caller, there's a lot of damn things you could do with him. You can line him up in the backfield as a fullback and then do play actions with him coming out of the backfield.
Right. Use check, like a supercharged Kyle use check.
You could do all types of shit. Like there's so many things. I was watching him today. I was just thinking of all the things you could do with him. And I think that's why it's going to be a different type of pick than you actually look at it. And I don't think they expected to take him there, but they got him. And now they want to work with that. They want to work with that type of guy and try to see what he can do. Right. And try to see how they can move up to him. And it's really on Luke Getsy at that point with him. So
yeah, and even then, I think Mayer being there makes you have to be creative with Bowers, right? If they didn't have, I think that's the big criticism is, well, you have Michael Mayer and you spent a relatively premium, top 35 pick on Mayer last year, but I actually think that helps in the way that you use him because you're less likely to just go, all right, man, get in line and be a tight end, and for me. You're like, well, we have that guy, a pretty prototypical Y, right? Like a pretty prototypical Y. And then you can, I think Brock Bowers is the day one slot receiver on this team. I know a lot of people have their thoughts about Devontae Adams. I think they're going to go matchup base, but I do think that Brock Bowers, when you're talking about corners that are 180 pounds in the slot, 185 pounds in the slot, good luck.
Yeah. It's just the Glaze pick is just a little interesting, man.
It's very strange. It's very strange.
It's strange because he hasn't drafted a tackle that big since 2013.
Yeah, talk about that. Go through his measurements because I did find the measurements to me were a little. He has long arms too.
Yeah. He's a long arm, 6'4", 323 pounds tackle, right? And he's more of a power guy than he runs a lot of power schemes. So they run over there. He's really not that bad in pass protection, but he can be beat. He's a little shaky there too. So that's why I think it was a little bit of a reach. I definitely would have took him. I wouldn't have took him in the third round. That's my. There's I don't know what other players they had on the board, but I don't know. Like Christian Haynes just went. I'm not saying they had to take it to the guard, but damn, like what I mean. Like there's just those type of players are still on the board, and they took Demar Glaze. I don't know what that was about. I mean, maybe they're higher on Glaze and. Maybe they're. I mean, didn't Patrick Graham coach the Super Bowl?
He must.
He did, right?
Yeah,
he did. Cool. So maybe they got some intel. Those type of things happen with those type of things. So you know how that goes. But
yeah, and I feel like a Raider third round reach just happens all the time. Tanner Muse. I mean, last year, look, it happened last year, and I like the guy. Trey Tucker was a reach in the third round last year, and I remember thinking like, this is what we did with the Darren Waller pick. And then you watch it, and there's something there. I'm not going to write the guy off. It feels a little Brandon Parker-ish to me, just a little, especially with a guy like Peyton Wilson, which I think if you're going to get like weird, take Peyton Wilson, see what happens. I know his medical's not great. It can't be great. He's probably good. I don't know if he went. You guys, I'm not following the picks right now, so if he went, I apologize. But if like Peyton Wilson, even Blake Corum, some guys that I'm not like in love with, I think some of these other guys could make these are top 100 picks. These are guys you expect to be like playing at some point, maybe not this year, but at some point you expect pick 77 to be a legit contributor on your team, even if it's a swing tackle. So they have to have some plan for Glaze. Like they have to. I mean, AP looked excited. I don't know. Yeah. Like he looked excited. He looked more excited than Telesco. So hopefully that wasn't. I think Telesco's in charge, but hopefully it wasn't. Let me get one, Tom.
I mean, they probably know him a little bit just from the Senior Bowl. I think they know that.
It has to be.
Somebody said, "Who's Max Crosby?" I mean, Max Crosby ran a 4.5 too, man. And he's basically TJ Watt from Eastern Michigan. That's what Max Crosby was.
Yeah, no, and Crosby, look, when he got taken, he had the motor, and I think for a lot of us, we were kind of like, look, there's something there. And I just haven't watched Demar Glaze. I remember putting on the Max Crosby tape the minute they drafted him because it sounded intriguing. He was really athletic. It sounded like, and he's just real slight and skinny, and needed to put on weight. So I just wanted to, take a look. I just wanted to take a look at Crosby, and I saw something there, and he worked his ass off to get there. But let's be real. we're talking about one of the best defensive players in football, if not the best defensive player in football. I don't think that's fair to expect for every reach in the third round. And I'm not saying Demar Glaze is like going to be a bad player, but none of us expected it. So why do we have to pretend like it's something awesome that happened?
Yeah. We don't have to pretend. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, he might end up being good. He was pretty good at the Senior Bowl. His film was just a little up and down. Will he be better than Mumford? Now that's what I'm talking about. Like, you take a guy in the third round like that, you expect Mumford to kind of be in the mix, and they obviously like him more than they've been saying. So they obviously just gave him some competition. So he's talking about TJ Tampa. So how do we pass on TJ Tampa? TJ Tampa, I mean, TJ Tampa is like pure zone, though, man. I guess that's why. I mean, I know they play a lot of zone, but TJ Tampa's like
right
pure.
Or Abrams Drain. I don't know if Abrams Drain went. He was another guy on my radar. Chris Abrams Drain. Yeah,
from Missouri.
Missouri. I was thinking about him. I don't. I again, if he's gone, I probably he was just there were certain guys. Peyton Wilson was a one. Even if they were going to go like Jalen Wright around that time, I wouldn't have hated it. Yeah, I don't know. I just look. That was what we thought about Telesco. Is he's pretty. All his picks make sense in the first couple rounds, and then maybe the third round is when he tries to get really creative and different. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. And let's see. Maybe Demar Glaze has this amazing work ethic, and he can develop into a good contributing part of the offensive line. And if that happens, let's go.
Yeah, man. Because I mean, like I said, he did have a good Senior Bowl. He did have a pretty good Senior Bowl. He looked like he could held his own out there. His film's not that bad. It's just I do think at 77. I mean, if it's like a fourth round pick or something like that, I feel better about it. I just think at 77, there had to be some better players on the board for them. But I mean, I feel like it's a little bit of a stretch. Just a need pick. It's basically what it is. Need pick.
And it was cool that he didn't seem to be married to need. Like there were players that filled needs, and I would argue that the Raiders need a good player at every part of their. They can't. They're not set at many places. They are now. They're set at tight end. Like they're set there, and perhaps at the interior O line, I would say they're set. But other than that, like for the most part, they went into this draft needing just more talent. And then when you do something like that at 77, I'm kind of like, I felt like there were better players, but we'll see. It's the draft. We're all just speculating and going off of boards that won't mean anything in a couple years.
Yeah. So Jackson Powers though is the first pick of today, right? Which I think was a very interesting pick, because he played guard. I think his junior year or maybe his first 2 years there at Oregon. He played guard, and then he played center the last 2 seasons, right? And he's a stud center, right? And he's a stud guard. He played guard at Senior Bowl. The dude literally left early. And I know he got injured, and there's some injuries there, but he dominated out there. Like, he was literally the best offensive lineman at the Senior Bowl, hands down. Didn't lose a rep. Just killing everybody. Just doing all these things, man. Why are you telling us to watch film on a film channel?
This guy in here is he's a big Demar Glaze fan. This guy,
I guess I watched film though. I did watch. I watched every Senior Bowl tackle before I went there.
He's talking to me. He's like, "You don't know anything." All right, fine. You're correct. I don't know who that was. I literally had to Google him when they drafted him. So you're correct. I'm not going to pretend I know everything about him. I just know that if I don't know who pick 77 is, you probably reached. That's all I'm saying. I was pretty well informed on players that were going to go in the top 100. There was a guy that they reached a little bit on, but Jackson Powers Johnson, like you said, I really liked him. I didn't expect him to be there. And Mike Martz was talking about him on the 33rd team. And he said, man, one of the coolest things he sees about Jackson Powers Johnson when he plays center, which I do believe he eventually will be the center for the Raiders at some point, when he plays, he is so good at snapping the ball with his right hand, and with the same hand, he's able to go find work right away. He's immediately looking for work. And that's something you just can't teach to a lot of guys, to go look for work. And, yeah, I mean, that's a home run pick. 2 home run picks, and then a one I'm just not so sure on. I'll take that every time.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they called Andre James. You see that? They called Andre James and told him about it before it happened. So obviously he's the starting center. So he's going to be the starting center. Then you have Powers Johnson at guard. Then you're going to have a right tackle battle, obviously. I don't know who's going to win that battle, but there's going to be a battle to play right tackle. think Thayer Munford would be, the favorite at this point, and then he battle with Glaze and see what that happens. I don't know if you want to throw Glaze out there, so hopefully Munford wins that. Just when you take a third round tackle, and I'll just say this: when you take tackles, they're kind of like quarterbacks, right? So you take a tackle outside of the first or second round, you're gambling. There's not that many tackles right now in the NFL that were not taken in the first or second round. So if you take one in the third, I mean, you're really taking it on a development type of guy. So that's gonna be interesting. But back to Paris Johnson, like I said, this dude's just a stud. It was, to me, it was definitely a home run pick. That was like the home run one, right? Because that helps the whole offensive line. I mean, if they put Mumford out there, I mean, I think Mumford would be fine. Glaze will, kind of have to work his way into the NFL, and he's got to learn to a lot of things and had to get a lot better. Just because he has some quirks. He doesn't have really quick feet or anything and things like that, and he has pretty good hands. Like, he's a pretty powerful guy, but he just doesn't have like those that great feet that you love all the time. I'll do a deeper dive on him because I watched like 2 games back in January, so it's not that familiar in my mind right now. But from what I remember, it wasn't somebody that I was like, let me rank him top 10 tackles. So, he does have a little bit of upside to him. Just when you take a tackle this low, that's what you're not getting a starter, in my opinion. But
no,
Paris Johnson, you are getting a starter.
Well, to me, I think it says, I don't know that Telesco was looking in here saying, I'm going to take my tackle in the third round because I like Thayer Mumford, but I think they have to like him a little bit, I think, right? To say, okay, I can wait a little bit, maybe get somebody developmental later and stuff. And I'm neutral on Mumford. I think he's done a nice job. He was a 7th round pick. I mean, to even still be on the roster right now, I think is an achievement on his part. And he's played meaningful amount of snaps. So, but with Jackson Powers Johnson, I want to celebrate this pick a little bit more. That's a great pick. I mean, I remember in the third round in 2014 when they took Gabe Jackson. I remember I was super excited. I'm more excited about this. This is a better player. This is a guy I think is going to be like, again, the upside is perennial All-Pro. That's the upside. And they took him in the 2nd round. I mean, this was a guy I didn't think would get past the Dolphins. And I remember being a little mad in the first round when Graham Barton got taken by, I think he went to Tampa. And I really like Graham Barton, was hoping he would slide to the 2nd round so the Raiders could take him. That was because I thought Jackson Powers Johnson would never be part of the conversation. It's very similar to Bowers, where I'm like, I never crafted a scenario where Brock Bowers would be a Raider because I just never thought that was an option. It's not because I didn't want him. It's because I just thought that Khalil Mack was the same way in 2014. I never thought he'd get past pick 2 or 3 or even to the Buffalo before them. I just never thought he was going to be a Raider. And now I'm super excited about both of them.
Yeah. The first 2 picks, I mean, Bowers was shocking, but JPJ, that's probably, I feel like that's his best pick of the draft so far. We'll see how he does in these other rounds because, I mean, this is when he gets shaky. And like I said, this first pick, I'm not saying Glaze can't become a good player or can't develop into a good right tackle. I just don't like taking tackles this late if you need a starting tackle. That's all my thing. Like if like there is a tackle that was like older guy, I was like 31 or something like that, you take a tackle in the 3rd round, maybe develop him to be a starter later. That's the difference. I just think taking tackles this late, you're not, especially when you don't have like a pure starting right tackle that you feel comfortable with. That's when I get a little interesting there. But
yeah, if anything, just avoid it. Just avoid it and go, look, we're short there this year, or maybe go look for a camp cut or something, a veteran. And then the 3rd round, like I said, like I would have got more experimental in terms of like, okay, will Peyton Wilson hold up? Like the chase some bigger upside. But again, we don't know. It's a reach because the consensus board is that he would have been available in the 5th and 6th round. It's not that he will automatically not be a good player. It's just that it's relatively certain they could have got him later and a better player earlier at that pick at 77. That's just all. That's what a reach means on draft night. Of course, we're all speculating, but that's just you're just going off of like where you think a guy most likely was going to be taken. It sounds like 5th and 6th round was for everybody. It sounds like Bleacher Report. I saw something in the comments say Bleacher Report really liked the pick, which is odd, but yeah.
I mean, that's just Brandon Thorne. Brandon Thorne does a pretty good job of offensive line work.
So that's him giving the grade, you think?
Yeah, it'll be him giving the grade, yeah.
Oh, well, that's nice. I like him. Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not a bad player. It's just it's more about me. It's about taking when you take a tackle. Like if you don't have like a for sure starting tackle, then why wait to the third round to take a tackle? To me, you just might as well just roll with Munford and Wagner. Because he's Glaze ain't gonna be ready to play right away.
Right.
That's my thing, right? I mean, if he beats out Munford, I think we got a little bit of a problem. So
right, yeah, I know, or there's a diamond in the rough that we just didn't know about, that we just didn't know about, and maybe that's the case. Most likely, probability wise, no. So that's okay.
All right, let's get some of these questions I got saved here real quick. And will they pick up another running back? They should.
So. I hope so.
I mean, they don't have a 6th-round pick right now. They got his 4th and 5th, and then they go 2 and the 7th. So he's probably gonna pick 1 in the 7th. I bet. That's what he does all the time. Even though I was wrong. I mean, he usually takes tackles at 308 pounds, and he took a 324 one. So maybe he watched the show and wanted to, just make me wrong, I guess. All right. So also, is there any way we move Parham back to right guard at this point? I don't think they will. I doubt it. I mean, that would make me happy, but tell us a little bit more about JPJ. Does he play with violence? Yeah, JPJ is a violent man. He has great technique.
Yeah,
he's great in pass protection. He is a stud. Like I said, he dominated at the Senior Bowl. It was like he was playing with high school guys around him. And I'm talking about like there's sweat out there. There's some of the Darius Robinson, all these type of guys. You're making them look like school kids. That's what he was doing. So like I said, this is a steal. He doesn't lose that much in college. That's when you know when you got a stud at offensive line is when that guy doesn't lose a lot. Like if he's not giving up anything,
right.
He's a damn stud. So
yeah, a couple things about Jackson Powers Johnson. He plays violent, but it looks like it's all in order. It's not him just being chaotic and just throwing punches and he is throwing punches, but it all looks like a technician. There's chaos within the technique, which is what I like. There's a clip of him. There's a couple of them, but there's really one that's going around right now where he gets out in space on a screen and takes a DB. And yeah, they should all block DBs, but DBs are faster than centers, so they can get around you. He just takes the DB and flings him into the air. So what I'm saying is when you draft a guy like Brock Bowers, who is incredible in the screen game, Brock Bowers is incredible as a screen guy. And then you have Jackson Powers Johnson, who's able to get out in space with his athleticism and punish anybody that's trying to go get Brock Bowers down, which is also tough in its own right. Then you got to get through Jackson Powers Johnson and Brock Bowers to get him down. You're starting to see an identity on this team, which is what I really, really like. And people are laughing. People always do that. The nerd analytics guys. Oh, they're trying to do old school, tough physical football, aren't they? It's like, yeah. That still works. The
Lions do it.
Yeah. They said the same thing about Dan Campbell and Antonio Pierce. If I were to compare him to anybody, kind of is a Dan Campbell to me. And I what they're doing makes sense. And that, look, we can gripe about a reach in the 3rd round, but what they did with their premium picks, like premium picks, the first 2, I couldn't have drawn it up any better in my opinion, other than, magically Drake May falling to you at 13. But other than that, I don't know. I really couldn't have drawn it up better.
So a couple people asked me about this because I saw a couple questions about this. Saw another one earlier. So that would be interesting because didn't they just draft a guard?
Jeremiah said the same thing. Daniel Jeremiah said that he thinks he's better getting kicked inside. That doesn't make any sense to me. That from a roster building standpoint at all.
Yeah, I'm confused. It's a little confused. I'm not saying it. I'm saying people are probably, they're saying like we're overreacting. We don't know the pick. I'm just saying it was just weird. That's all. We could talk about if a pick was weird. It caught us off guard a little bit. Yeah, that's all. That's all. No, they say he's gonna play guard. So
that's just what they think, though. I don't think the Raiders view him as a guard. It just doesn't make sense to take him there after you just took. And look, maybe they are thinking 3 years down the road. Maybe they're thinking Andre James is only on the team for like 2 to 3 more years, like his contract. So maybe there's that, but I don't know. That seems weird.
Yeah, I think James is gone next year.
Next year? Well, then that might work then, because then Jackson Powers Johnson's your center, and then maybe you think Demar Glaze is your guard. Maybe that's what they think.
Maybe.
No, now it makes sense. You guys really think Andre James just signing an extension, you think he's gone next year?
It's literally like 1 year, bro. Like
Okay.
if you go look at the breakdown, it's like a 1 year deal.
All right. Well, hey, it makes a little more
So
sense for me now. It makes a little more sense now.
so they could just kick JPJ inside real quick. You know what I mean? But then that's when you kind of look at if they're gonna move Glaze inside, then now it gets real interesting. Okay, so we're moving Glaze inside.
He's
Like,
big. He's so tall for a guard. Like I just like
because now that they say that, I mean, usually a guard that Telesco takes is as big as he is. Like Jamari Slayer, kind of who plays both. They're kind of similar. There's similar there, right? So that makes more sense in my brain that he would go with Demar Glaze because if he thinks he can play both, so he probably thinks he can play tackle and guard. So he probably sees him as a versatile piece. So that makes a little bit more sense in my head now. Now, see, we're good, guys. Now you guys
and also Parham. Like, does this regime see Dylan Parham as an extension candidate? You don't know that they have no ties to Dylan Parham. You know? So there's also that. The idea. I like Dylan Parham. I do. You do. But it's does this regime see him as a guy who's going to be here for the next 5 years? I don't know. It's a lot of
Parham has to kind of show more, right? I think Parham's solid. I don't think he's bad. I think he's basically he's kind of like an average guard at this point. He's not like a bad guard or somebody that you say that is going to have an issue on the field. You put him on the field, you're gonna have mad issues. Like, no, you're not gonna have that. Can Parham get beat by like Chris Jones and some of those dudes and some of the better players in the NFL? Hell yeah, you can definitely get beat by those guys. But the average defense tackle is not gonna kick Parham's ass. And I think that's when you have to think about some of these players. Is like, who are they against the average player, right? So against the average player, Parham's he's a solid guard. Against like Chris Jones and like some of the better defense tackles, he's going to have a little bit of issues just because it's all play strength with him. Like, he just never he's never really had the
right.
Even coming out, he never had this extreme play strength where you're able to hold up against some of these defensive tackles. That's why he was supposed to play center. But I don't know what they obviously don't plan to do that with him. So,
and they stumbled into somebody, an absolute monster center prospect at 44. So that might just railroad your whole operation, anyways. And in a good way. I mean, like you found a guy who's a baller, in my opinion. Like nobody's can't miss. But I think that there are so many scenarios where Jackson Powers Johnson is just a smash hit. So many, in terms of probability, I think he's really, really good. And then, I'm interested to see what their plan is for Glaze. I'm sure that's going to be asked. I mean, that's going to be at the press conference because that's the first one that wasn't like, nice. It was the first one where people do the classic Snoop Dogg gif, who, like they do. And I did it at that point. It's interesting.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'm trying to pull up some Demar Glaze stats because I know we're not allowed to.
He ran a decent 40 for his size. He was at 5'2", which isn't terrible. Like it's in the top. It's in the top half. I'm looking at some of his stuff. He was not great in the 3-cone at all. Really, like kind of bad.
Mm-hmm.
But those arms, those arms to me is tackle. I don't know. Maybe it's not cut and dry, but the arms, I mean, those are long arms.
Yeah. I mean, he's you never know though. I mean, because some guys have long arms and doesn't mean they can play guard. Because a lot of times you get moved inside to play guard because you don't have the feet to play tackle. That's really what it is. Tackle, a lot to tackle is having great feet too as well. It's just not about how long your arms are. You gotta have great feet to handle speed rushers because I mean, he ain't in the Big Ten no more. That dude, he run a 4.5 man at the other side, so he's gonna have some good feet. So Matt, welcome to the show. We're talking some Demar Glaze and Jackson Powers Johnson here. What did you think of the Demar Glaze pick? Because
to be honest with you, I don't know a ton about Demar Glaze. I know a guard guy at Bleacher Report, Brandon Thorne, had him as a little bit of a guard, and I heard you talking about feet at tackle, so I'm assuming that's probably part of the reason why.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was a little bit don't know. I mean, I don't have much to add. Get a guy though that has played right tackle experience or has right tackle experience, played left tackle too. And again, Thorne has him had him projected as a guard, so you get a guy that can maybe compete with Thayer Munford for that starting spot. Obviously, I think Munford has a big leg up heading into training camp and all that. But at worst case, is a backup offensive lineman who can maybe plug and play at 4 different spots for you. So not a bad pick.
Yeah.
I kind of would have liked to see them go after a guy like Spencer Rattler, who's still available at this point. So, but I don't hate it.
They must have found out about Spencer Rattler what he did in high school. That's why he's fallen.
You really want another developmental quarterback? Like I just kind of feel like there's one on the roster right now in O'Connell.
I just feel like you get more arm talent with Spencer Rattler and you get something different. Whereas with like Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, you kind of have two guys that are like similar, where not quite the same player, but like are that similar guy of like weaker arms that you're hoping you hit with the intermediate to short passing game. Whereas at least Spencer Rattler would give you someone else to potentially shake it up. And I think a guy that could maybe end up being your starter down the line, just that was just my thought process. But again, I don't hate getting another offensive lineman. Never have too many offensive linemen.
Yeah. I think to me, just like, even like somebody like, I know it's a receiver and where's he going to play, but like Roman Wilson was there. Like just these guys that are like, I think are played good college football, that are still there. So yeah, anyways.
This guy said
Roman would have been interesting.
Nobody scouted him. I did scout Demar Glaze before Senior Bowl. I just want to say that.
You know who he is. I asked him, I'm like, you know who that is?
I did scout Demar Glaze for Senior Bowl because I literally watched every Senior Bowl tackle. He was there. I watched every single one, 3 games. So I'm familiar with Glaze. It's been a long time. That was back in like January. I mean, the draft process is too damn long. Right? More of a memory. You know what I mean? It was just that was January, like in the middle of the playoffs and shit. So I do. I guess I'm familiar with. It's just like I said, I think they run a little bit more power there, and I could see why he could be kicked inside because that was my thing. Is just he just doesn't have the feet to handle speed rushes and stuff like that. So that's why I thought if he was going to play tackle, it'd be later on down the line. But he didn't play guard at the Senior Bowl, so that's why I was like, okay, he's a tackle.
Yeah,
but it's just what I mean. So
yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
but.
So what is Jackson Powers Johnson, Matt? What are your thoughts on that one?
Oh, I love that pick. That pick is another absolute steal, I think, for the Raiders. I mean, we talked about Jackson Powers Johnson during the Senior Bowl, and I mean, he crushed it there. I thought there was, I think at one point even tweeted out that he might be a option at 13. Obviously, that was a little ambitious, but I definitely think it was a guy like that when it was all said and done. I think most people had him as a late first round pick. Raiders end up picking him up in the mid second round. I think great value. A guy that can be your immediate starting right guard. You don't have to rely on Cody Whitehair, which is a good thing. And then 2, in a couple of years, if they want to move on from Andre James' contract, you have your replacement for your center right away, and you don't have to have them have the burden of playing center right away as a rookie. So yeah, I was ecstatic about that pick. I'm a big fan of JPJ's game. Excellent pass protection. Dude's can be a mauler in the running game. I think if he had more experience and more starts at Oregon, he probably would have been that first round pick. But only a 1-year starter is kind of one of the biggest knocks on him. So
yeah, and there were some. I had been hearing. I don't know anything about this, but it was just some of the content I've been listening to. They had said there were some character things, but I didn't ever heard about what they were. Do you guys know anything about that? I don't think so. I think he's just mean.
I never heard that.
Yeah. No, I just heard a couple of things that there were character things. It was kind of like, I think it might have been Dane Brugler or a couple of other, because he was kind of like, why is this guy still available? They were asking. It was like post day one, and people were saying it was because of that. But I don't know. To me, it's still such good value that even at 44, even if the dude is a knucklehead, which I'm not saying he is, but even if there are reports of that, I feel so much better taking him in the second round. I mean, it's still a steal either way.
Yeah, for sure.
He's a huge steal. I mean, I think he's a stud. That dude is legit, right? And he was at the Senior Bowl too, which Guzzy keeps saying that we didn't watch him. And I have to say, I watched the Senior Bowl. I went there to watch tackles. So I don't know what he's talking about. So, but yeah, we watched. I watched Powers Johnson. Powers Johnson is legit, man. He, like I was saying earlier, he just dominated the Senior Bowl. It was crazy. He left. I mean, he could have left early, but I know he left because of injury. But yeah, I mean, like I said, he just has some medical issues, concussions, soft tissue issues, but I think it's something you can work with, though.
And a team like Miami not taking him at like 21, and I don't have anything against Chop Robinson, but you'd have to think a team like Miami that loses a bunch of linemen and all that stuff, and likes to run the football. It's kind of strange that Jackson Powers Johnson was available. And like I said, I think in the screen game, you draft. I got to hammer this home. You draft Brock Bowers, who can take any ball thrown to him to the house, especially screen stuff. I mean, who better than Jackson Powers Johnson to get out in space and create room for him? So it's really cool what they're building right now. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, for sure. So we got 3 picks here. We got Brock Bowers, we got Jackson Powers Johnson, and Demar Glaze. So 2 needs were filled, right? So there's 2 needs, right? They need a guard and they need a tackle. Brock Bowers is the fancy luxury pick. That's going to be exciting to watch when he starts playing, So, but we'll see what they do with the rest of this draft. What do you guys think they're going to do for the rest of this draft a little bit?
Got to think at some point they're going to get a cornerback. I would have thought it would have been sooner, but I feel like that's the rest of it. And I think the rest of the way out, you kind of just go however the board falls to you at some point.
I literally want to trade late round picks for veteran players, straight up. Like especially with Telesco. With Telesco, he blows his wad early in the draft, and that's fine because those are the ones that keep you employed. Like Telesco's been in a front office for a long time. He kept the Chargers job for a long time, longer than a lot of GMs do, without winning like a Super Bowl and stuff like that. So they do. He kept that job for a long time because he hit usually on first round picks. You look at Brock Bowers, who is like a kind of a Derwin James pick, if you want to say, like, it's kind of like they didn't really need Derwin James, but everyone needs Derwin James. Like everybody needs a really good player, so you go take the really good player. And but for the rest of the draft, I either say freak athletes, guys that are just like insane athletes, or trade the picks, or more I would trade back a couple times and try to get some stuff for next year. Try to get some picks for next year, because this is, from all I hear, day 3 is not the most exciting day 3, if there ever was one. But I think this year is not the year for like a day 3. But I want to get a running back too. I want to get a fun running back, like just a fun home run hitter running back, kind of speed guy, and kind of a guy like maybe a guy who has some trouble with a couple things, but is just the speed and or the strength is there. Audric Estime for me. I don't know if he's gone yet, but no, like for me, I like him in round 4, round 5. That's my guy. So obviously that's a guy. He's not the home run hitter that I just said, but find a fun running back.
They might take Estime though. If he's there, I don't know if he gets taken pretty soon here. There's some weird players getting taken at this point, like this linebacker from Missouri, Tyron Hopper. How familiar are you with him? Right
before the Raiders, the Yale tackle got taken too. Like the tackles were really falling off the board by the time the Raiders took one.
See, I like to give him Yale though. He's pretty damn good. But go ahead, Matt. My bad. What were you saying?
I was just gonna say Tyron Hopper. I liked him a lot. He's kind of like he's like if you couldn't get Edrin Cooper, which ironically the Packers took Edrin Cooper earlier. Like he was kind of like your next best options, a dude who can just fly sideline to sideline, but needs to put on weight to be a better like run defender. So I liked Hopper a lot, but even so, I think I gave him like a 5th round grade, like a developmental grade. So to Glenn's point earlier, I had 5th round grade. He was ranked, 159. So he was kind of far down there, but I liked his game a little bit, and I like kind of what he could be. But to Glenn's point about like the day 3 picks, like I definitely think this is like you're seeing a lot of guys start to get kind of reached for already in the 3rd round. So definitely a reach, but yeah, I'm actually a pretty big fan of Hopper.
Yeah, okay. I'd just like to see them like, okay, they don't have a starting corner right now. I think free agency right now, the best available free agents, a lot of them are corners.
Because I was gonna say we got a lot of questions about that. There's like 5 questions about corners. So we
need a veteran in the secondary anyways. Jack Jones is young. I think Jack Jones shouldn't be the senior member of the secondary either for a while. Like I just think from a maturity standpoint, I like Jack Jones a lot. Really, defense looked night and day different, I think, after he got there. But I'd like to get a veteran in there. I'm an Adoree Jackson guy, but I would understand Steven Nelson and Xavier Howard. 1-year deal, nothing crazy. That type of stuff. Similar to Raider fans will remember Casey Hayward, a couple of years ago. That did a lot for the secondary, and they made the playoffs that year. So
what's that? Go ahead. I was gonna say, isn't Gilmore still available?
I
Yeah,
do.
Gilmore's
Do
available.
do you think he's like kind of like a Patrick Graham guy? I don't know. I'm asking because I don't know.
I mean, he'll figure it out.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
he'll
I
figure
do
it
like
out.
Stephon
He'll
Gilmore.
adjust.
I do
Yeah, I
like
mean, I think my two guys that I'd like would be like Gilmore and Steve Nelson, like you said, like those two guys. I wouldn't hate that either if like they brought them in on 1 year deals. I hate 1 year deals similar, and I know this didn't work out, similar to what they did with Marcus Peters last year.
Right.
But someone who
Try it.
actually wants
It's
to
never-
play, wants to still play football. So
But Marcus Peters didn't handicap them like in any way. It's like it didn't work. Okay, try it again. You know, like
exactly.
it's and they got Jack Jones. They ended up getting Jack Jones later that year. It's okay. It works. You try that every time. You bring in the veteran. The secondary is relatively young. I mean, was Marcus Epps the oldest guy in the secondary right now?
Yeah.
Like it's
maybe face on.
maybe face on one of those guys. But again, go get a veteran. I didn't really want when fans wanted a starting corner in the second round. I'm like, that doesn't always happen. That doesn't, even if you like the prospect, that doesn't mean they're starting in the AFC. As like a starting corner. Yeah, they flew off the board. But again, we don't know that these guys year one are going to be like amazing players. I don't think that's why you should draft them either. It's like, to me, go get the veteran if you're worried about this year's cornerback too.
Yeah, for sure. What else are the questions we got here? It's all about the corners, man. Best Telesco corner available. To be honest, probably one of them is Jarvis Brownlee from Louisville.
He's still available.
Short but fast.
Short, fast, and 180 pounds. Yeah, he's 5'10", 180. That dude can hit though. He could play though. He had a great Senior Bowl. Like that guy, he had a Senior Bowl. He had a week, and I don't know if Patrick Graham coached him. I forgot what team Patrick Graham was coaching, but that dude had a week, man. That's one of those dudes that's still left out there that could end up being a draft pick for Telesco. But Telesco, if he's going to play Glaze at tackle, it kind of goes away from what he usually does. But he might be like a Jamari Slayer type of guy. But I just think it's interesting because Puny was still on the board. Dominic Puny was on the board.
That was interesting too. Yeah,
so that's the thing. But
I forgot about that. Yeah, I definitely would have liked Puny over Glaze, especially if the Glaze is kind of a project tackle. That's that's similar to what Puny was. I think Puny's probably more of a guard, but yeah, if you're going to get a guy that's a questionable tackle that might move inside, I think Puny would have been a better option. But
yeah, I see it's about PFF grade. I mean, PFF Telesco, so it makes sense. But yeah, he gave up. He's only given up. I had his pressures up here. I did have it up. I just looked this up. He gave up like 14 pressures this year, which is pretty good. He had a career 98.7 pass block efficiency. So it's not bad. It's not bad pass blocker. You know what I mean? So there's some good grades there, and then it's more in the run game, But like I said, to me, like the Big Ten is always different than the NFL, and that's what it's all about the speed. His feet. It's all about his feet. It's just his feet are just slow. That's all.
Yeah,
that's my thing.
And who knows, man? I mean, it's like I think a lot of fans like want us to sell them the pick. It's like I don't know. It just happened, and I didn't really care for it all that much. It is what it is. I was the same way. Like I said, I was the same way about Trey Tucker last year, and I like him.
Yeah, I like Trey Tucker too.
He's a good player. I think he's a pretty good player.
But I still think that pick was a reach. But good player.
Two things can be true. That's a good thing. Two things can be true. Trey Tucker probably was not going to get picked until the 4th or 5th round. Yeah. But he's also gonna be a pretty good player. That's fine. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay if you reach at the time. The reach can be like, okay, that was a reach. That guy would have been available. But if 3 or 4 years from now, no one calls. I don't know. I guess there's a few other players like late first. You'll always see a team. Well, that was a reach. But if they're good, people don't care 4 years from now. But right now we care because it's the day of the draft.
Yeah. So I mean, PFF Telesco is if Glaze, he's a PFF guy too. I don't know if he is really, but he does some pretty good PFF grades. But Telesco has really stuck with the PFF Telesco. I think that's what we start calling him because definitely sticking to the draft board, right? I mean, the Jackson Powers, Johnson, and Bowers. So it's kind of like when he drafts, it feels like he's board centric in first and second round, but like the third round, I feel like we're going to start hitting some needs here going forward. So, I mean, because hitting Glaze and then, going to Some of these other guys probably maybe hit running back, might hit wide receiver. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on some of these things?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of like, I feel like that's how you should kind of approach the draft, is like come at it like in the first round, kind of try and get whoever you can at the or your best player available. And then as the board gets leaner and leaner and you kind of get deeper and down where the board's changed a little bit, that's when you kind of attack your needs. That's how I would look at it a little bit too. I do wish they attack their needs a little bit more aggressively in free agency, but
right.
Yeah,
still, that's, I think, the biggest thing that, like, looking back on it and playing the hindsight, like if this is how they were going to draft, like would have wished that would have happened. But again, like we talked about now, there's still options at corner if they really want to get someone for this year. And, the biggest question right now is going to be who's going to be at quarterback. So it's a big question, but they got at least like a solid foundation.
I think they've done a really good job building up for their next quarterback. And like maybe, not to discount anybody that's on the roster right now, but I think 90% of Raider fans understand that the answer at quarterback's probably not on the roster right now. And that's okay. And I'm glad they didn't reach for that. It's like, to me, like in the first round, my biggest thing was, do you really want to take quarterback 5 or 6? Like, do you really want to take that at 13? That's like buying the top of Bitcoin. Like, it's just you don't want to do that. It's not good business to do that. You might hit, but you might get Todd Blackledge from 1983. Like, you might get that's the last time 6 quarterbacks went in the first round. Not all of them were good. Ken O'Brien wasn't very good. Todd Blackledge wasn't very good. Like, those guys aren't like. When it's a historical draft, that just means a lot of them went in the first round. What they did was they went and said, okay, this guy might be the best player in the draft. And got Brock Bowers, like, which is always a need, by the way. Whenever there's the best player in the draft, you need the best player in the draft. And the Raiders don't have a yak guy, and they filled a need there. He's a yak guy, and I think he's going to be a very good player. But you're right, Matt. In free agencies, when you attack needs, because your needs are for 1 year at a time, especially in this current climate of the NFL, rosters change like they've never changed before. So your nobody knows what the Raiders' needs are going to be next year. I mean, we think they're going to have a need at quarterback.
Right.
Other than that, we don't know what that's going to be. And I'm fine with just beefing up and I think they found 2 blue chip talents, in my opinion, like at their positions at least.
Yeah.
I think they found that in the draft, and we're not done with the draft yet. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I like both first and second round picks. I thought they did a good job of that. I did want to tell you that Ken O'Brien did have a couple of those cool posters back in the day. Just those old school 90s posters.
UC Davis, dude. UC Davis.
He did have a couple of those. So,
yeah.
I mean, he did earn a poster, like him and Magic Machowski from that was one of my favorite posters, the Magic Machowski one from the Packers.
He wasn't terrible. He just when you get drafted when you get drafted before Dan Marino, it's tough.
But I mean, Dan Marino, he did some drugs in college.
And then Miami was like, we don't have drugs in Miami, so you can come down here.
He's a little partier. He's a party guy. You know what I mean? Great arm though, party guy.
Damn. Damn.
But anyway, they still need a quarterback though. So I see this Michael Harris. People ask me about Michael Harris. I actually looked for that film. I have no idea where it's at. I can't find Michael Harris from anywhere, guys. I've tried. Maybe I can find some YouTube stuff. But they still need to draft a quarterback because they only have 3 quarterbacks right now. I know they have Anthony Brown there, right? So they have Anthony Brown, Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell. They need another quarterback, right? I mean, so at some point they're going to draft a QB.
Why? I mean, you can just wait till after.
Usually you have 4. I mean, unless you get an undrafted guy, I guess you just bring another undrafted guy.
Yeah, at this point, don't do it. Like, you have mid-round talent on your roster, mid-round quarterbacks on your roster. I'm not saying it's all the same. Minshew's been in the league for a while now, but Michael Pratt, I like Michael Pratt. So if that's what they want to do, go ahead. But to me, I think you can just, UDFA or even a camp cut veteran or something you bring in as your third guy. I think next year is the quarterback year that you just. Look, who knows who's going to be available next year? Everybody thinks they know who the quarterbacks are going to be available next year, but what if the Bills just implode and then Josh Allen's available? We don't know. There's always one quarterback that wants out every single year. There's always one. So yeah, to me, build that roster this year, not because, they don't need a quarterback, but because the right one probably wasn't there and it wasn't worth risking it all for, or at least feasible to risk it all for. And then next year, attack it. And then you realize you have Brock Bowers, late career Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, still very productive, Michael Mayer, and then you have Jackson Powers Johnson on the offensive line, and it's not a bad spot. It's free agent quarterbacks are going to be like, damn, I might want to go there, or guys that want to get traded might say, can you trade me to Las Vegas?
Yeah. Shout out Mario for coming through, man, and giving us a shot. Yeah, Mario. Yeah. Who's gonna nab great value Mahomes? Is it talking about Rattler? Who's great value?
I think that's. I mean,
or is he talking about Milton? Which one is he talking?
That's like food bank Mahomes, like when you're really down bad. Yeah, it's not great value. Yeah.
Oh man, because a couple of things. Gus Bradley's son is out there, right? I mean, he was a little impressive in the Super Bowl. I'm not gonna lie, he was a little impressive, right? And he was. I watched some of his broadcasts, so it wasn't that bad, man. It wasn't that bad.
I do like that. Like he's like willing to sling it a little bit. Like he was like, that's like my biggest takeaway from him at the Senior Bowl. I'm like, all these quarterbacks are being just giant pussies and like not throwing the ball, and he's out there like just chucking it. There was a couple of times I think he just chucked it up into double coverage. I'm like, you know what? I like this guy. He has balls. Like Al Davis would approve of this dude right here because he's just chucking it up.
Yeah, watch him get drafted over those guys too. Watch him get because he literally was the only one out there, right? I have nothing to lose. I'm from South Alabama. Nobody knows me. I might as well just fucking go try. I love that.
As someone who like goes to the Senior Bowl just about every year and wants to watch more entertaining, I would just love it if the NFL sent a message, be like, you guys better throw the damn ball next year if you want to get drafted. Don't come here and check it down all the damn time. But yeah, I'm kind of with you guys on Pratt or on Glenn on Pratt. I kind of like to see that guy maybe they end up if he's still around in the 4th round or hell, if Spencer Rattler keeps sliding, then even better. I already made my stance known. So,
what about Milton? I mean, at least it's a skill set that's not on the roster. You're talking about big arm, move around. Like that's the guy I would just try. But even then, I don't know.
I like Milton a lot. I think. I don't know where you would take him. I mean, that's all up on you though, as Telesco, because his biggest issue is that he doesn't have bad feet, he doesn't have bad mechanics, and he doesn't hit anything. That's my thing. And he has great pocket presence. His feet, he's great. He holds the ball really where he's supposed to, but for some reason he can't hit anything. So that's a problem, right? If I can't look at your mechanics and be like, oh, this is a point. Like Drake May, I can be like, look at his feet. Oh, he has bad feet. If he fixes his feet, then he can fix his accuracy. Joe Milton is like, I don't know what to do with that. It's just that's the thing with Joe. It'd be a little concerning, but he does have a big arm, and like I see somebody talking about the 6th, I would like that.
I mean, there's no better way to spend a 6th round pick, in my opinion, than somebody with a huge arm, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. To me, I'm fine if they don't address quarterback 3 this year. I think it's okay. It's fine if you don't.
Yeah. They're asking about Jordan Travis. Just Jordan Travis's accuracy issues like crazy. That's why I don't think he's plus the injury, plus the accuracy issues that he has that are they're pretty bad. I think that's why he's falling more than anything else. Not that good.
He's smaller and like you said, sprays it all over the place. Like I don't really like. I felt like Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson covered him up a lot of his issues more than he really highlighted what they did. Like those are 2 guys with big catch radiuses that you can kind of afford to be a little bit less accurate with. And I mean, when you broke them down, like kind of confirmed what I thought. Like just I don't really get it. And then you couple the injury with it. It's like I'm good. I'm good on Jordan Travis.
Yeah. I mean, if they get him like in the 7th or something like that, or the 6th, then I wouldn't care that much about it. It's just 4th. Like if they take him in the 4th round, I'd be like, okay, that's a little bit of a reach with him because it's. I just don't see a lot of upside as a passer. He's a great runner though. The dude can run that. He can run with the football. So it's just as a passer, a consistent every down passer. Because even when you watch Florida State, there's points where like that offense would stall. Right. And a lot of it, the reason it was stall is because of Travis. It wasn't because of the offensive players around him or anything that's happening. It would just stall. And they actually should have dominated more. With the way that defense was, I mean, Renardo Green, Fisk, Jared Verse, and probably some guys get drafted next year that we aren't even talking about right now. The way that defense used to play, they should have been more dominant than they were. And they were a little shaky on offense. And that's my thing. So, Yeah, yeah. So it is up and down with that. You know, Spencer Rattler. We talked about him a little bit. You know, shout out my dude Nazo. We went to high school together, so that's my dude right there. Play high school football together actually too. But
Nice.
But what did I say? So Rattler, you know, I thought Rattler would be gone by now. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I thought Rattler would be gone by now. So obviously, I've been talked about this whole time with Rattler. They did their homework, and he's falling because I think a little bit of his history, his personality, a lot of the things that he went through. So yeah, man, I that's what it has to be, that because he had a great Senior Bowl. Did he had like a great? I mean, well, his
combine. He had a good combine too. He had a good combine.
Not athletically, you know.
But but he spun it pretty well. I mean, I feel like the one thing to play devil's advocate is I don't think we've seen another quarterback go. So maybe it's just one of those things where like it's almost like a big game of chicken where they're not like really worried about the quarterbacks at this point. And like we saw the run early, like I'd be like a little bit more. Like I guess I'd be a little bit more concerned about his character if it was like all these quarterbacks were going ahead of him and he was still getting passed on. Like we just kind of had a pause after a huge run on quarterbacks early. Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh man, you got a fan here.
Excessive master rater. So who knows what's happening behind that screen? Look at Matt Older. I don't share your screen.
It was a haircut. I got a haircut for this week, so that's what. So.
Damn. Yeah. Whew.
I didn't even see what was coming.
M Holder 95 is kind of cute.
There we go. I like it. Appreciate it. I have to agree.
Oh man, that's funny. All right. So that's glitch.
That's my bro. I have
it's
a lot.
Probably just one of. It's probably just one of the bots. That's all it is.
It's probably your wife. It's probably your wife.
No, she wouldn't say that. Trust me, she'd
be
be on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Your wife has the username excessive master rater. That's that would be something if that was the case. Yeah.
Oh shit, man. All right. He said, "Don't move back. He's almost done."
Yeah, I know. Jeffrey Tubin, dude. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah.
All right. This is what TDL is about here. Who do you guys have the Raiders picking in? I have this one. Let me get some of these questions here. Start with Ruben Russ, man. Ruben Russ is support. I'm gonna answer all your questions, Ruben. You supporting a channel like that? I appreciate you, Ruben. Get some other questions here first before I miss some. Who is having the worst draft in y'all's opinion? That's a good one.
I mean, it's the Falcons.
Do the Falcons still count?
Yeah. It's not even close. Yeah. I mean, because not only that, because I know, Matt, you kind of like who they took in the second round, right?
I do, but they also like he's also a project, and like I mean, granted, they do have like Onyemata and Grady Jarrett there still. Yeah. So I guess they can put him, but like they went 2 rounds without getting an immediate starter and 2 guys that are gonna sit in their like for their first year. So
yeah. I mean, the Penix thing you just could not explain. Not so much taking Michael Penix at 8, but you paid Kirk Cousins. Like it's
$100 million guaranteed.
Yeah, and it starts this year. It's not like we're in the last 2 years of the Kirk Cousins contract. Let's go. We'll never pick this high again, which is a hilarious thing that GMs say, especially a guy who hasn't really drafted. I mean, he's drafted like okay. I like a lot that's on the Falcons roster. I actually think they're pretty good, but they're bad. I think this was just a draft where there were a lot of really like safe players and stuff. So it's tough to say like, oh man, this team just bombed out of control. Like it's tough. I think the Raiders had a really good draft so far. So I've seen a couple comments say the Raiders. It's like, dude, no, they're good this year. This is a good draft. But yeah, the Falcons 100%.
So here's a question here. I'll get to this one before you do another one. Do you think Minshew's mobility gives him an advantage over AOC for QB1 and scaring them from taking Rattler? Guess he has like mobile pieces these days at Mississippi State. You are right about that, Ruben. What are your thoughts? Thoughts on that, guys?
The mobility. I mean, how mobile is Gardner Minshew?
He's mobile in that he moves when he doesn't need to.
I'd say Gardner Minshew is more like he's gutsy. Like when he's not really mobile, he's gutsy, if that makes sense. Like he's gonna go get you. He'll run for a first down because it's like I don't know, like toughness or something, like toughness, grittiness,
helicoptering in the air. Yeah.
he's that type of guy. Like it's not really mobility itself because athletically he's a little limited, right? So he's not going to be able to like naturally like make guys miss, and like if some guy, a free rusher's coming, he's not going to be like just kind of dodge guys and stuff like that. It's more like I'm willing to use my legs, even though I really don't have legs. I'm still willing to use them. Like so, if like AOC was like that, I mean, people probably feel different about him using his legs, kind of like Jarrett Stidham, because Jarrett Stidham wasn't very fast either, but he would use his legs all the time, but he wasn't very fast. So it's kind of like that type of thing. But to me, I know this is not, the media doesn't think AOC is going to win the job for some reason. Nobody thinks AOC is going to win the job. I still think it's AOC's job to lose until he shows that he can't play. And to me, that's just a smarter thing. He's a second-year player, and you never know. Maybe he takes a huge leap. That's the thing. He has the mystery behind him. That's why I kind of like AOC more than
I like O'Connell.
There's mystery there. Like maybe he takes a leap, and then we're all stupid, and we're like, oh, they should have done that. Like maybe he can make us look stupid too. You know, you're talking about like Demar Glaze. AOC has a chance to make a lot of people look stupid. So if he does that, that is a good thing for the Raiders. But I think they're going to give him a chance because he's the younger guy. And if he ends up messing it up or something, he's not picking up the offense quick enough or whatever, then they go Minshew. But I still think week 1, I think it'll be AOC. I think week 1. The season.
The one thing that you have to realize is it is a new, not you, but just everybody has to realize it's a different offense this year. So Aiden O'Connell's progress in terms of, he might have some chemistry with people that are there, but it is a new offense that he's running. And I understand people's complaints about Aiden O'Connell. He's not going to get faster next year. His arm will not be stronger next year. He's not going to be this massive deep ball thrower out of nowhere. These are just things that will never happen. The problem is like, does Minshew give you that? That's not that on the roster. Minshew does not have a great.
Minshew is one of the weakest arms I've ever seen in my life.
Right, exactly. So that's what I mean. It's not.
The offense with Minshew. The offense is limited as hell. That's 100%. Like at least AOC could at least throw like 40 yards downfield. I don't know if Minshew could do that. Like naturally. That's my thing with Minshew. Minshew literally limits the offense. You become a ball control, play defense, meticulous down the field offense when you play Minshew. I think with Aiden O'Connell, at least he can drive the ball 25 yards on an out route or 25 yards on a corner route. He can still drive that. Yeah. Minshew can't drive that throw. Like there's a throw AOC made against the Dolphins where he threw the ball to Devontae Adams against cover 2. And it was a corner route. I'm hitting my light. I'm going to knock my light out. But he hit a corner route, right? And he was able to drive that in between the safety and the corner. Like Minshew can't do that. And that's the difference between those two. So if you play Minshew, you're just seriously limited. That's all. Like he doesn't have the arm to drive the ball down the field, to have tons of explosive plays and things like that. You'd have to be the Colts last year, which you're like ball control. You just grit out wins. You know what I'm saying? It's not like nothing sexy. Everything is about gritting it out. You know, AOC could at least drive the ball outside the numbers a little bit with a little more velocity. Not saying he has a lot of velocity on it. He can throw the ball downfield a lot. It's just more about, to me, in the NFL, if you can drive the ball in between the 10 to 20 yards and intermediates, and you can, with some velocity, you can get away with it, then, not being able to make those throws at all. So that's the thing with Minshew. So, and
also the thing about Minshew is that he doesn't get the easy win against the Raiders anymore. So what else is he good for? That was where he made his money. He ruined the last game in the Oakland Coliseum and then killed the Raiders playoff hopes last year. He doesn't get the opportunity. Well, he might kill the Raiders playoff hopes this year, but in an indirect avant-garde way, I guess. I just, to me, I've neither of these guys excite me all that much, but Aiden's kind of like, well, okay, he came in.
There's mystery. Year. I mean, I know I'm not going to give him Minshew. That's the thing. Like, right. and I think if Minshew starts, I don't know if he'd play that long. Let's be honest, because, like I said, because there's not going to be a lot of explosive plays. Like he almost got Michael Pittman killed. Like we're talking about some of these things, man. Michael Pittman is lucky to be alive. You know, so he's enough to that's the thing. That's what Raiders fans like him. They watch him because he's awesome against the Raiders. You see, like you Google his passer rating. His passer rating versus the Raiders is like 140 or some shit like
kills
that.
Kills us, dude.
You know, he has like 150 like passer rating against the Raiders. So that's why a lot of Raiders fans love him because every time they've seen him play, he's just balled against them. But just like I said, he almost got Michael Pittman killed. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't know. Michael Pittman almost died that day. I mean, that's my thing with Minshew. It's just how much he limits the offense. If he had a bigger arm or something like that, I mean, I wouldn't mind it. That's my whole problem with him. Is just like it's just not much you can do on offense with him. That's all. You have to ball control. And because he talked about what they played the Raiders last year, I don't think he threw the ball in the second half at all. Did he throw the ball in the second half? You guys remember it? Because I don't remember watching that game. It was just like Jonathan Taylor, this whatever other running back they have, Jonathan Taylor, whatever running back they have, Jonathan Taylor. It's just back and forth, him handing the ball off. And that's how you would have to win with him. And, you know, that's why when the Colts played C.J. Stroud and those guys, they couldn't get over the hump on that team because, you know, you have to have a quarterback that kind of can, you know, make some plays himself and do some good things. So that's the thing with Minshew. I just know what he is, and he's not going to get better. That's my thing. AOC might get better. There's a chance.
Yeah, it might be quicker. Processing might happen quicker.
You know, there's a chance, right? But it's like there's mystery, and you know, because he only played 1 year. You know, Minshew's played like 5 or 6. So you're like, oh, okay, that's who you are. That's my thing. I know what Minshew is. I don't know what Aiden O'Connell is. Really.
Agreed. I agree.
That's all. That's my thing with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you guys. I feel a lot more confident that Aiden O'Connell can improve in his arm strength again because it's year 2 versus year 5 than what I've seen from Gardner Minshew, and he already has a stronger arm than Gardner Minshew.
He looked a little cut up too. Aiden, you see him at the thing? It looked like he trimmed a little of that Farva weight off a little bit. Like he looked all right when he was at the podium. I was like, all right. I see Trey Tucker looks jacked too. I love Deuce Gruden, by the way. I just want to say shout out Deuce Gruden. He's a beast. But yeah,
we'll get some tape breakdown here pretty soon here. Hopefully we get a defensive guy from Matt. I mean, raw.
I know, right? Like, geez, I did all this prep for nothing. Apparently, dude. I mean, if you look at the draft, like this is how like it's all going. Like it's like a fantasy football draft. It's a bunch of like we've had these runs, especially at the top of the rounds on offensive players, and then like we'll get a few runs of defensive guys. But yeah, I feel like if we went up and tallied up all the picks, it's very heavily leaning toward the offense. I mean, you got Jim Harbaugh trading up for a wide receiver versus the defensive tackle. Like that shows you all you need to know about the state of the game.
Yeah. Somebody asked about Luke McCaffrey.
He got taken.
He just got taken.
He did. He just got taken.
Yeah. Last pick of the third, 100th.
Yeah. Dude, another supporter here. What's your guess? Picks 112 and 148. What do you guys think?
I got man, Audric Estime. I'm just gonna keep saying it and manifest it, I guess, at 112. I got no idea. 148. I'm not gonna I don't even we've been on the stream. I haven't been following who's even available. I'll probably say a guy got taken. So
yeah, because that was my thing. I was trying to see. I still think they might take Brendan Rice. I just have a feeling about that. I don't know. I feel like
that would be interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They might take Brendan Rice. Or if they go corner, I talk about Jarvis Brownlee. I don't know what other corners are available right now, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we got to run. I was gonna say Brownlee. Keep saying Rattler until it happens, maybe. And I'd like Pratt too. I liked a lot of what you saw when we broke them down. So that'd be kind of 2 quarterbacks maybe you could go after what we're talking about. But I don't know. Kind of interested to see how they let the board play out.
Yeah, Troy Franklin is still available. Troy Franklin, huh? I didn't really like him much, but at this stage in the game, I do.
Cam Hart too, the corner from.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kyrie Jackson's still available too, huh?
Kyrie Jackson, yeah, a lot of the Oregon guys, man.
Yeah, Kyrie Jackson. I mean, he played at Alabama too. He got some pedigree too. Is he 180 pounds? I mean, how does he weigh?
He's a bigger guy, isn't he?
Brandon Dorless hasn't been picked, has he?
Who?
Brandon Dorless.
Mm-mm.
That'd be an interesting one too.
TJ Tampa, he hasn't either.
Still, huh? Why not? Right? I mean, it's just some of these guys like, why not? Just try it.
He could tackle. I mean, he could tackle. I mean, he's more of his own guy. I mean, all they played was 3 deep cover 2 shit at Iowa State, anyways. I mean, they play that 3 deep cover 2 type of thing. So you just don't see him play man. But we talked to Cody Alexander. I mean, the NFL's not really doing that anymore as much either. So he's a little bit of a fit there. So. But yeah, I mean that's the thing with TJ Tampa. He's I think he's too slow for Telesco though.
Did Tommy Eichenberg get taken yet?
I don't think so.
No.
That's a guy I'd take a look at.
Peyton Wilson's gonna take it yet?
He did. He went to
drafted.
Steelers are cleaning up right now. They're clean. Roman Wilson and Peyton Wilson, I think, are really good.
Trotter hasn't got taken.
That's interesting.
Trotter would be interesting too. Trotter was one of my. I was higher on Trotter than most. Ended up being most people. I still wasn't a big fan of him, but in the 4th round, I'd be stoked about him. Trotter would be an interesting.
Jalen Wright is still available. Jalen Wright.
The Tennessee.
There's only even 2 running backs taken, right? 3. Like I think Corum, Benson, and Brooks.
Corum got drafted too. Corum went to the Rams.
Yeah, Corum, and then so yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of running backs left. I mean, Jalen Wright is more of a power guy. You're in power. I saw somebody ask about Tyrone Tracy. Yeah, I mean, shit. I mean, they take Tyrone Tracy, I will jump through the roof. Yeah, Tyrone Tracy is that guy. If they took Tyrone Tracy, I would be done. I'd be done with
Marshawn Lloyd also went, so there's been 4 running backs that have been taken.
It was the NFL's super high on Marshawn Lloyd. I think that was interesting.
DJ had him at
56.
56, yeah, 56.
Like,
Chris Abrams Drain still available. Yeah, there's some good stuff there. There's names out there.
Yeah, I like Chris Abrams, but McConkey worked his ass, man. McConkey.
I mean, that's why he's going in the 5th, 6th round. I mean, sure,
Yeah, the problem is now he's gonna have to, if he's gonna play for the Raiders, he's gonna have to play against McConkey twice a year.
Yeah,
we'll just we'll
because the Chargers took McConkey too.
Yeah.
Who did the AFC West? So AFC West, they took Joe Alt, right?
Right.
They took McConkey, and who did the Broncos? The Broncos took. I know they took Jonah Ellis, but who else did they take? They took.
They took. Well, obviously.
Pick.
Obviously, Bo Nix. KC jumped up for Kingsley Suamataia, which I thought was interesting. But again, a lot of Raider fans wanted him. But I'm like, that's not a day 1 starting right tackle. He's billed as a project guy.
Junior Colson is who's
Chargers. Yeah, it's good. I mean, look, it's good players. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremiah Trotter's him in the 4th. That's a great value.
Yeah,
that'd be a good pick.
Yeah, Moose Muhammad.
Trey Benson got drafted. Sorry, I'm on the running backs. Trey Benson also got drafted too.
Right?
Yeah.
Trey Benson,
yeah. All right. Mm-hmm. Arizona, I think.
Does this matter, seeing as we don't have a QB? And see, I do think with the quarterback thing. I mean, they don't have a quarterback, and I don't think the season is just like not going to matter though. I mean, maybe beating Mahomes in the playoffs, but. Guys, imagine if we had Josh Allen.
Yeah,
are we beating Patrick Mahomes? Like,
yes,
like that's the thing. I mean, if Raiders got to stop Patrick Mahomes. First of all, that's all. That's my thing. Like, we can't stop Patrick Mahomes. If they can get after the passer, that's the thing. We got to stop him. We can find a quarterback that can outduel him eventually. I think like it's you don't want to be in a duel with him too. That's my thing. Like, I don't want to be outdueling. Like, nobody do it. Like, there's nobody right now.
It doesn't
has done it. So that's not. I don't think that's the exactly way to beat him. It's just like find some, quarterback, plug him in there. Like, you got to have a great team too. The Raiders need a great team around a good quarterback who becomes great in great moments. That's what you need to win in the NFL. You need a great team first, like a great team. You just can't. You just can't win with some average ass teams because you have a great quarterback. You have to have a great team that kicks people's asses and has a high point differential, and that's how your team is good in the NFL. But yeah, I mean, the quarterback situation is not going to be the sexiest thing right now, and like I said, hopefully it goes better than it does. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
that's all I can say.
I don't think when I look at this offseason, I don't think there's much the Raiders could have done. I wasn't a fan of bringing in giving $100 million to a hobbled Kirk Cousins who's 36 years old. not that I'm thrilled with them bringing in Gardner Minshew, but
Yeah.
and then but I'll take that or whatever at 25, 25 million, 15 million guaranteed. And then when it came to the draft, like I talked about already, like there wasn't much they could do. But my fear, and with what you're saying, Marcus, is like my fear is you become what the Atlanta Falcons were this last year, where the Falcons like had a good roster. They couldn't figure it out at quarterback. They were rolling around with Desmond Ridder trying to figure that out, bouncing between him and Taylor Heineke, and you still end up, winning a handful of games, and they couldn't even get it done in the lowly AFC South. So that's kind of my biggest fear is that the Raiders, like, yes, they've done a great job of building up the roster of like, is this going to be a situation where you have a great roster, but you can't get the biggest position right? And then again, looking into next year's, and who knows, something could change, whatever, the quarterback class not being great, who knows what the Raiders are end up picking. That's kind of my fear. But again, I don't know what they could have done differently. So if you're going to go this route, I guess you got to do it and then figure it out later. Maybe you hope Aiden O'Connell ends up being better than Desmond Ridder was in developing a little bit more, which obviously he can. He's got everything in front of him.
I do want to say that the Chiefs were like the first team since the 2000 like Ravens to not give up more than 28 points in a whole season.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It is Mahomes. Mahomes is the X factor, but like they ended up. You cannot erase the fact that like Trent McDuffie's a great late first round pick. Willie Gay, all these guys they draft really well. The Chiefs do. Like it's not just Mahomes out there bailing people out. Like they have Andy Reid. It's what I'll say to Matt's point. I agree with him in a sense that like they are in like kind of an NFL purgatory mode right now, which is like one of the worst places to be. But they are in the AFC. So if they are the Atlanta Falcons, they'll get punished way harder and get a higher pick. I think like if you are the Falcons, you're not going to play the Carolina Panthers and like these other teams that are going to get you these like easy layup wins and stuff. You're going to get your ass kicked. And if Aiden O'Connell is as bad as half the chat thinks he is, then we get our ass kicked and we're picking top 5 next year. And you know exactly the position to address. You're like, there's no mystery. There's no like, if only we had a left tackle, if only we had this. No, the answer is that they're going to need a quarterback. But the idea with me is it's year one with AP and Tom Telesco. Now they could have tried their best, and I imagine they did call around to see what it would take to go get. Look, we know it was Jaden Daniels, right? That was the number one. Like it's an open secret that they probably their dream utopian scenario was Jaden Daniels being in Vegas. But to me, it's like they added 2 really, really, really good players like that. I think a lot of teams would really want to have on their roster. And if you view this as like a 3-year thing with Antonio Pierce, I think that's realistic. 3 years for him, like unless it just goes horribly bad. I mean, they added, in my opinion, the 3rd best playmaker in the draft. You could even argue that there's like even more to him. He's closer to 1 and 2 sometimes. I'll with behind Harrison and Neighbors, I guess is my thing. Then you go get Jackson Powers Johnson. This is how you build this roster. And then look, Josh Allen has a meltdown with the Bills and wants to get out of there or something because everybody hates the Bills right now. I for some reason everybody thinks the Bills are just like a shit show over there. And if he wants to get out of there, you go get him. And then all of a sudden the Raiders are a contender. And I don't think that they're this disaster that so many like the media thinks they are. I think they actually do have a lot of talent. Like, and they could use some depth, and I hope they can add some. But I don't think that's as bleak as everybody thinks it is. And I'm usually the negative one. Yeah. So like that's the thing with me is like I do feel like I'm taking crazy pills at times when I hear Raider fans talk about this. I'm like, this isn't that bad. And I do think they have a nice ecosystem right now. And the Telesco draft showed me that they actually have more freedom in the draft. They're not restricted to this like, oh, we should take this epic player that nobody knows about that should go in round 3 at 13 overall. Like, no, they took a guy that was really good. And I was like, whoa. And you realize like the possibilities could actually be endless with this team. So we'll see.
Yeah. I don't get all the spectrum jokes, man. You guys need to chill with the neurodivergent jokes.
For who? Me? For me?
I don't just call it AFC. I think you just chill with the neurodivergent jokes. He said Glenn's toting the company line here.
I guess I normally hate the Raiders. I have like a masochistic relationship with them for like most of my life. Jeez, like today, I actually don't feel that bad now, and everybody else does. And then when the year they take Cleveland Farrell, Jonathan Abram, in the first round. Everybody's juiced. Mike Mayock buying Mayock jerseys. Yes, a guy did that. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, this sucks. And everybody's like, what are you talking about, dude? I'm like, no, right now I feel like this is better. So I don't know.
All right, guys. Let's end the show with some Brock Bowers highlights because I put this together.
Oh, let's go. Yeah.
End the show.
Show them, Marcus.
Some positivity. I'll do a breakdown later. This is just highlights. Nothing, you know. Let's see. You guys see it? Is it up there yet?
No.
Oh, of course it doesn't want to do it now. Of course. Share. Watch, it's not even want to do it today.
Here we go.
There we go. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
You good?
We're on. We're good.
Just watch some highlights here. I just like this. Watching this because this is just a monster. So I just wanted to show this. It's just a monster.
Raiders,
a deeper dive.
Raiders don't need this, Marcus. They don't need.
No,
need
they don't.
like this is stupid. Don't draft him.
Like it's just crazy to watch to me a little bit sometimes. I was watching this today. I was like, oh my god, they drafted this guy.
Yeah, this guy plays on the Raiders.
Like here's a casual one-handed catch. Just casual, just like what's a one-handed catch? You know what I mean? Just casual. Here's him just taking it for 6 here.
Oh, this looks like a JV team he's going against. This is Auburn. They didn't have a great year last year, but like this looks like when they play like Coastal Carolina or something, like as a warm-up.
Right, like, nice little route there too. Before it just breaks a couple tackles.
Yeah,
the way he went through contact is just so damn. Like he ran through those arm tackles and didn't break stride.
I need the Napa Valley High School highlights of Robert. What was he doing in Napa Valley, dude?
I don't know, man.
He must have been going crazy. He got an offer from Arizona State. He posted it on Twitter. So I think Mike, who does that great video work and stuff, he posted it like that from 2019. That he got an offer from Arizona State, and he was like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to Georgia, dude. Like, I'm a beast. But it's funny. AP probably has known about this guy forever. You know?
Yeah. This is a Travis Kelce route. That's why I like put this one. This is he just reminds me of Kelce so much because you mentioned him being a blocker, Glenn. I mean, he's okay,
but out of the slot, wouldn't you think out of the slot he would be a really good blocker?
I mean, a little bit. He just feels like it's like somebody who has to block. Like I'm a tight end, so I have to block. So I'm not gonna do it. It's not like something he like. He's not like Michael Mayer. Let's say. You know what I mean? It's like pass me the ball is basically what Bowers. Yeah.
What do you think of Carson Beck?
I actually like Carson Beck a little bit.
He looks good.
I mean, he definitely would have went first round in this draft, but next to everybody else did.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's probably going to be like the leader next year, the leading candidate to be the number one pick next year. But
look at that.
There were a few times where he fucking jet sweep.
Jet sweep, dude. Are you kidding me?
I know this is against Kent State. I know, but
I don't care.
They ran this play a ton. He had 5 rushing touchdowns in college. I forgot about that. Like I forgot they just used him as like on these jet sweeps as like the nub tight end. It's crazy.
Dog,
against Alabama,
that's Wildcat.
Yeah, that's still a 20-yard gain against an SEC opponent.
Yeah, he was in Wildcat for one game, bro.
What a beast.
Doing QB sweeps.
We have no use for it, apparently. There's just no use for that on the Raiders roster. It's dumb pick.
I gotta take off, guys, but
all right, you're out of here, Matt.
All right, Matt.
I'll go over that later, guys. That's a deeper breakdown, guys. That's I'm not gonna give you that yet. You gotta wait for that. But yeah, all right, Matt's out of here. Probably all out of here, actually, guys.
Cheers, guys. Yeah.
Cheers, guys. Hopefully you guys liked today's show. We got 1,800 in here. This is crazy. I gotta
the number's been crazy for the draft. Shout out. Make sure you subscribe. And if you're on here, if you're just raw dogging the channel and not subscribing, come on, guys. Yeah, man. So appreciate you guys. We'll probably do something tomorrow. Maybe we'll figure it out. But we're out here, guys. Peace. All right, guys.
See ya.